To complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. The death toll from an earthquake and tsunami that struck Sulawesi Island in Indonesia has soared to 844, with authorities fearing the numbers will climb as rescuers grapple to get aid to outlying communities cut off from communications and help. Dozens of people were reported to be trapped in the rubble of several hotels and a mall in the city of Palu, which was hit by waves as high as 6 meters following the magnitude 7.5 earthquake on Friday. Officials are also concerned for Donggala region and 2 other districts which are situated north of Palu and close to the epicenter of the quake. Indonesian President Joko Widodo has called for patience and assured that supplies and heavy equipment will arrive in 2 days.
This is indeed an emergency situation. Same as in Lombok, there will be stages, moments, 1 or 2 days it will feel tough, really tough here. The road to the location is mostly cut off. Even the airport is not running functionally. But I have already ordered all, such as fuel. The supply will arrive in 2 days from now, and all heavy equipment will come tonight so we can use it tomorrow with relief aid such as food and clean water. So we hope and pray for the communities and be patient.
Meanwhile, Philippine consulate officials are now looking for a Filipino detainee in Palu who went missing after the quake and tsunami struck the La Paz Penitentiary where he was serving his sentence.
Kaninang madaling araw, nang tumawag kami uli sa isa naming contact sa Bureau of Correction sa Palu, ang kanilang ibinalita ay tinamaan ng tsunami yung kanilang bilangguan. Kaya yung mga bilanggo na pilitang tumakas, tumakas para iligtas yung sarili nila. Ang ginawa namin, naisip namin, dahil sa isa lang naman ng Filipino sa Palu, sinubukan namin tawagan dahil meron kami ng telepono niya. Pero patay yung kanyang telepono. Patuloy pa rin yung aming paghahanap para matagpuan kung nasaan din yung ating kababayan.
Gabriela Party List hits ex-OFW Party List Representative John Bertis for attributing his bad temper to having a monthly period. In a statement, the party said that women should not be stereotyped as arrogant and entitled during their menstrual period. During a press briefing earlier, Bertis apologized for his actions captured in a video during a security check at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport on Saturday. He also compared his bad temper to having a monthly period. Bertis also said he respects Congress' decision and is ready to face the consequences of his actions after House Minority Leader Danilo Suarez threatened to file a complaint against him.
And I'm very much willing and open whatever investigation nakapanood po ng video, and I'm really sorry. I shouldn't act that way.
A legal expert believes the decision of a Makati court ordering the arrest of Senator Antonio Trillanes and reopening his rebellion case is an abuse of authority and amounts to gross ignorance of the law. According to Professor Tony Lavinia, former Dean of Ateneo School of Government, the decision of Makati RTC Branch 150 Judge Elmo Alameda violated Trillanes' right against double jeopardy since the same court already dismissed his rebellion case in 2011.
I have never seen a court, a lower court, voiding its own judgment. A higher court can void its judgment, the judgment of a lower court. So ang dapat ang procedure dyan, yung DOJ should have gone to the Court of Appeals or to the Supreme Court to have that judgment void.
It can be recalled that Trillanes' camp has submitted several authentic documents such as the amnesty certificate, several photos and videos documenting the event, and even the affidavits from defense officials who processed his application. But Judge Alameda ruled these have to have no probative value due to the absence of the senator's original application form.
the best evidence for the amnesty is the certificate of amnesty. The best evidence of your birth is not your mother or your father's application for your birth certificate. It's not the form that they filled up to get your birth certificate. It's the birth certificate.
The congestion of empty containers in the Manila port area is now causing the delay of the deliveries of certain goods based on the copies of notices that UNTV News and Rescue obtained from shipping lines. According to the Philippine Ports Authority, container traffic in Manila port has increased by 8 to 9% because of domestic and foreign trade. This resulted to a congestion of thousands of empty containers in the Manila port and Kavanaugh areas. The Association of International Shipping Lines says this problem is usually encountered during Burr months when import volume increases.
Ang mangyayari kasi dyan, tataas yung cost of trucking because it is a little farther away. But what can we do? Yun lang ang may area na available. As of now kasi, talagang wala na lugar doon sa mga existing locations.
Supermarket owners say there will surely be price adjustments due to the increase in delivery costs. They also admit that they cannot do anything but wait for the effect of the congestion. The Bureau of Customs, meanwhile, warrants to penalize shipping lines that will not retrieve their empty containers within 90 days.
If they have not evacuated it from the Philippines within that period, then we will collect the duties and taxes that are due to them and consider them as imported goods na.
Malacanang lambast former College of Law Dean Attorney Antonio Laviña for claiming that President Rodrigo Duterte's remark on extrajudicial killings was indeed an admission of guilt and a culpable violation of the Constitution. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the president's remarks cannot be considered an admission because he did not directly mention he killed someone. Roque also notes that the EJK statement is in no way can be used as evidence to back up the complaint against Duterte in the International Criminal Court because the tribunal has no pending investigation in the Philippines, contrary to Laviña's claims. The palace official also says that being a lawyer himself, he would not allow the ICC to meddle with the country's judicial system, which is actively functioning. Roque adds that there was no such crime as extrajudicial killing in the Philippines or in the international law.
I'd like to emphasize that there is actually no crime under both domestic law or international law as EJK. In fact, this is a misleading term because killing in our constitution and in our laws is never legal, so there is no such thing as extrajudicial killings. No? So it's either a lawful killing or an unlawful killing.
The Philippine National Police will deploy some of its personnel for the protests set to be staged by the militant groups on October 17. According to PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde, they do not discount the information provided by the military on the alleged Red October ouster plot against President Rodrigo Duterte, though the upcoming rally is expected to be an ordinary protest action.
I think there's a basis for that, and there's a basis for the statement of the President. Remember, the President has unlimited access to information. Hindi lang yung Philippine National Police. No, there's a reason for this.
In view of the Red October plot, the PNP chief also advises the public, especially factory workers, not to participate in the protests for their safety.
Kaya yung ating mga nagtatrabaho sa mga factories, sa mga malalaking factories, wag po tayong maniwala, no? Dahil tayo rin ang mawawalan ng trabaho. Pag nawalan tayong trabaho, lalaking ang ating problema.
Typhoon Queenie has entered the Philippine area of responsibility. As of 4 p.m., the eye of the typhoon was located at 1,385 kilometers east of Casiguran, Aurora. It is packing maximum sustained winds of 160 kilometers per hour with gustiness of up to 195 kilometers per hour as it moves northwest at the speed of 15 kilometers per hour. Queenie is expected to intensify further but is less likely to make landfall in any part of the country. It is forecasted to move towards the northern Taiwan by weekend. But Pagasa says Typhoon Queenie's trough will bring scattered rain showers and thunderstorms in Cagayan Valley, Bicol, Eastern Visayas, and Caraga regions. Metro Manila and the rest of the country, meanwhile, will experience good weather with possibilities of isolated rain showers. And for the news abroad, here's Pauline Ompico live from Tokyo, Japan. Pauline, good evening.
Good evening, Diego. The U.S. and Canada have reached a deal to reform the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, after last-minute negotiations. Here's why from Beverly Sison.
A deal granting more U.S. access to Canada's dairy market and a cap on Canada's car exports to the U.S. has been reached after last-minute negotiations between the two countries in a bid to reform the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA. NAFTA governs more than $1 trillion in trade between the two and Mexico. Mexico and the U.S. have already agreed new terms, and only recently it looked as if Canada could be excluded in a final agreement.
Good day for Canada.
The joint U.S.-Canada statement said the agreement will give workers, farmers, ranchers, and businesses a high-standard trade agreement that will result in freer markets, fairer trade, and robust economic growth in the region. The statement did not include details of the revised terms. However, the deal is expected to contain key provisions on Canada's dairy industry and car exports to the U.S. Canada is also reported to have secured some protections for automobile industry against potential U.S. tariffs. Beverly Sison, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Trump administration has denied restricting an FBI inquiry into sexual misconduct allegations made against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Democrats have been alarmed at reports in U.S. media that the White House was limiting the number of persons to be interviewed under the investigation. President Trump ordered the inquiry on Friday at the request of a Senate committee. The new inquiry has delayed a final vote on Judge Kavanaugh, who, if confirmed, is likely to tip America's highest court in favor of conservatives. Members of the Pro-Independence Committee for the Defense of the Republic staged a sit-in at Hirona train station on Monday morning as part of a series of protests staged by the group to mark the first anniversary of Catalonia's ill-fated illegal referendum that ushered in Spain's worst political crisis in decades. 6 people were arrested in Barcelona on Saturday after pro-independence protesters clashed with riot police, and as thousands joined rival demonstrations to mark the first anniversary of Catalonia's polarizing vote on secession. Tensions remain high in the independence-minded region a year after the October 1 referendum deemed illegal by Madrid but celebrated by separatist Catalans. The leader of Macedonia is determined to press on with the proposed name change despite a failure in referendum. Meanwhile, Britain's conservatives warn Russia with military expansion in the Arctic region. Jovic Burmas tells us why.
In Macedonia's vote on changing its name to North Macedonia looks to have fallen far short of the turnout required. Preliminary results show that just over a third of Macedonians voted in the referendum, with 50% needed. The vote aimed to end a long-running dispute with Greece, which has its own region called Macedonia. Athens had agreed to end its objections to Macedonia's EU and NATO membership bids if the change was passed. In United Kingdom, British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt warned Russia on Sunday it would pay a high price for its actions if it sought to intimidate Britain and flout international rules. British Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson told the governing Conservative Party's annual conference that Britain will be launching a new defence strategy in the Arctic to respond to Russia's increasing military activity in new shipping routes in the region. 800 new Marines will be training each year in Norway, and aircraft submarine hunters will track down Russian submarines as part of the strategy, Williamson said. And in China, A flag-raising ceremony was held at the Tiananmen Square in Beijing on Monday morning to mark the 69th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. People from all over the country gathered at the square, singing the Chinese national anthem while watching the national flag being raised. Many were holding national flags in their hands and having stickers of the national flag on their faces. Watching the national flag raising ceremony at the Tiananmen Square on October 1 has been a way of celebrating the National Day for many Chinese. Some joined the gathering for sightseeing and others came to express the feeling of patriotism. Jovic Burmas, UNTV News and Rescue.
Those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, Jego.
Thank you, Pauline Pico from Tokyo, Japan. LeBron James took to the court as a member of the Los Angeles Lakers for the first time Sunday in a preseason matchup with the Denver Nuggets in San Diego. James signed a 4-year, $154 million contract with the Lakers over the summer, making the famed franchise the third stop of his NBA career after stints with the Cleveland Cavaliers and Miami Heat. The Los Angeles Lakers, winners of 11 NBA titles, finished last season in third place in the Pacific Division with a record of 35 wins and 47 losses and missed the playoffs for the fifth straight year. James and the Lakers will open the NBA regular season October 18 at the Portland Trail Blazers before playing their first home game. A Labrador Retriever shows off his skills in ice skating after undergoing training with his coach and rescuer, Cheryl Del Sangro. The 6-year-old canine named Benny is outfitted with a pair of custom-made skates for his paws to gracefully glide along the ice. Ice skating coach Del Sangro says she saved Benny from being put down at a shelter when he was just a few months old. She introduced him to the usually non-canine friendly pursuit of ice skating after learning that Benny was a very teachable animal. Since his tryout on ice, Benny has improved so much that Del Sangro is planning on convincing the local NHL franchise, the Vegas Golden Knights, to take him on as a mascot, filming a video to show off his skills. And those are the reasons behind the news. October 1, 2018, on behalf of Rina Villamor Camara and William Theo, I'm Angelo Castro III, because we need to know. We will always ask why. Good evening.